Hey mamas, we're in for a treat. I have a returning guest who spoke on raising her confidently in the past, in previous episodes. Carrie Lupoli, who is a seasoned expert in health and wellness, will be speaking to us today as I interview her on how to help teens understand how food serves their body without any shame or pressure. I know this is a hot topic for a lot of teenage girls as well as moms ourselves. How do we look at food in a healthy way? Well, Carrie's expertise extends to empowering parents of teenage girls to navigate the complexities of their body image and nutrition. She provides parents with the tools to counteract diet misinformation and foster a positive relationship with food. Her insights help family cut through the pervasive myths and pressures that impact young women, guiding them toward informed, confident, healthy choices. Carrie has also been featured in major news outlets like Today Show, ABC, NBC, and Fox, and really contributing her expertise on nutrition and women's health, mindset, and behavior changes. She is the founder of Disruptive Nutrition and Diet Disruptors podcast that empowers women and families to achieve optimal health through the science of blood sugar stabilization and behavior changes. Carrie also co-hosts the #1 most watched nutrition show on Brinks TV, which is Food Freedom, alongside celebrity nutritionist Mark McDonald. So we're in for a treat. She's back again to help you help your daughter see food in a healthy way without all the pressure. If you are frustrated with how to get your teenage daughter to open up to you because all you want is to connect with her as you once did, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Jeannie Baldomero, a former rebellious teen, now mom of 3 young adults, educator, and the mom mentor, equipping you to create open communication with your girl so she can come to you about anything, even if she's scared. So grab your oat milk latte, breathe, and let's do this together. Hey mama, this is my invitation to you. Join me in the Talk to Your Teen Girl framework. It's a 6-week course that will get you started in creating a space for your teen to feel safe and respond in a way where your teen girl will feel heard and understood. You are building trust so you can get what you want most from your daughter, and that is to come to you about anything, even if she's scared. So head on now to talktoyourteengirl.com. That's talktoyourteengirl.com. Hi, mamas. Okay, I have Carrie back again, and we're here talking a little bit different topic. It's around the nutrition. Last time we talked about, how we as moms can unintentionally, share our thoughts about food in our bodies with our daughters. Now she's back, and we're actually going to talk about some tactical things and some practical things that we can do to help teach our teenage daughters and understanding food and how we can help them see food in a positive way versus a negative way. So Carrie, hi.
Hi, this is so exciting because I'm actually in the middle of working with a big group of teens in a school in California to really truly kind of take the concepts that I teach, especially to women, and really make it into a very teen friendly approach. And I thought no better people to help me with it than teenagers. So it's
Right.
very timely and very exciting that we're talking about this.
Perfect. I love it. Now, obviously you're a mom of teenage daughters, and I could see that, um, you focus on women primarily, but what made you decide to focus on teens?
Yeah, so actually one of them's 20 now, which is so crazy when you're like not a teenager anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know how this happened, but 19 and 20 now. And so my journey started when they were like 5 and 6 years old, and it was Family Friday pizza night. And I ordered from the pizza place, but I didn't eat the pizza. I had the salad with dressing on the side because I was on a diet. But I felt like I wasn't eating a different meal than my kids because we all ordered from the pizza place. But then one of my younger daughters said to my older daughter, "Why does mommy never eat the pizza?" And my 6-year-old at the time said, "Well, because it has too many calories." And it wasn't out of judgment or frustration. It was just a matter of fact.
Right.
And it was right then and there that I was like, oh my gosh, I am going to impart the same disordered beliefs about food in my body that was given to me.
Mm.
And it's really funny when actually you hear that, because everybody's appalled that my 5 and 6 year old talked about calories. Everybody.
Mm.
Like, I can tell that to my doctor, to other nutritionists, to personal trainers, to dietitians. And yet, what I didn't realize actually until many years later was, wait a minute, that's what we teach women. Like, so if we tell women that they have to watch their calories and count their macros and track all their food and be at a deficit, then why shouldn't we teach our kids that?
Yeah.
Like, innately, we know that that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because if we don't think it's okay that kids are talking about that,
Yeah.
now we will talk to kids about healthy eating, about, eating an apple and, but we're not supposed to talk about calories, but yet that is what we're supposed to be doing. Do you see the disconnect? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
this moment of, wait a minute. I was appalled too, don't get me wrong. But then I'm like, wait a minute, why am I appalled? Am I appalled because we should not be talking about calories? Wait, why are calories bad? Calories are about disordered eating. Wait, why am I being taught calories? Like,
Right.
it was a cycle of like this aha moment that I'm like, there is something seriously wrong with our entire society. Because at what age is it then okay to teach girls about calories?
Right.
Like 19? Is it 20 when they're no longer a teenager? Like, when do calories become socially acceptable?
Right. Exactly.
I don't, nobody's been able to answer that question for me. Um, but that's where I think we just accept it. It's just cultural conditioning that we've had forever,
Yep.
right? That it's like, oh, you look great. If somebody says that to you, that's code for you look smaller. And
Mm-hmm.
we have believed, even if like we think we're not talking to our girls about this, we have believed that smaller means better.
Mm-hmm.
And I just finished my book. It's called From Corset to Crown. And it's about the fact that we've all been kind of handed this corset from, I don't know when exactly, it's not from birth, but it's like at some point when we're a little girl, we've been forced to wear a corset. And it's not a physical one, but a mental one made of food rules and body shaming and cultural conditioning. And we have just come to believe that, like, the smaller you are, the better you are. We have to shrink ourselves and pull that corset in order to be worthy.
Right.
And I think that carried me straight into adulthood. I think that carried most of us into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just the fact that my kids talking about calories was a perfect example of them wearing the corset.
Right. Right.
Easy, right?
It's funny because when they say it's like you say it all the time and it burns more when you actually hear your daughter saying it, right? And you're like, where did you hear that from? Oh, wait, from me, you know?
And then it's like, do as I say, not as I do. Well, it's
Right.
socially acceptable for me, but not for you. Why? And like, I feel that way sometimes about cursing. Like, I always joke that I never cursed in front of my kids until they got to a certain age. And I'm like,
Right.
it's okay now. You can know that I curse.
Yeah.
A different, I mean, maybe it's not a different story, but like, it's a little bit different, right? Like, once you're an adult, you get to have this like rite of passage of certain
Right.
things. When
Right.
it came to this, I was like, wait a minute. Because I had an eating disorder when I was in college. I didn't just suddenly have one. It was from
Yeah.
all the years of wearing the corset, right?
Right.
And so it kind of like hit me that I got to do better, but I don't know how to do better if I don't know what to do. And that's where on the last podcast you and I talked about was kind of like my own journey and recognizing that I couldn't teach what I didn't know. I couldn't transfer what I didn't have. And so I went on this whole journey of self-discovery and really digging into the science of our bodies as well as the science of our behaviors and our belief systems and how they're all connected. And
Mhm.
so as I was learning it, and I was a behavior specialist well before I was a nutritionist. So I was fascinated with behaviors and how was I going to change my own behaviors?
Mm.
Had to start with my belief systems. How do I change my belief systems? I had to really start questioning all of the things that I just felt like were true.
Yes.
And they weren't. I was like, I had a conspiracy theorist in my own head about my own beliefs. And I had open dialogue with my girls about it and about my own struggles. And it was just sort of like a journey of self discovery that I took them along the ride on.
Mm.
And then when my daughter turned 16, my now 20-year-old, 4 years ago, there was an Amazon delivery box. And I don't know about you, but like there's always an Amazon delivery.
Yes.
And I never know what it is. Even today, I'm an empty nester. And last night we got a delivery and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
I ordered a wireless keyboard. I had completely forgot, right? So, the Amazon delivery box comes and it's a tiara. And I was like, who ordered a tiara? I definitely did not order a tiara. And Grace at 16 comes running in and she's like, I did. I ordered a tiara. And I'm like, why? And she said, because I know my value. I know
Oh,
how
sweet.
important I am and I'm worthy. And I bought this tiara to remind me of that. Plus, I always wanted to be a princess. And I was like, oh my gosh, that belief. Like, now this is a girl that didn't have a friend at her 14th birthday party.
Mm,
She sweet voice when it came to singing, but never sang in front of us. Like
mm.
she didn't I just was always worried about her. But when she bought that, I was like, oh my gosh, some of these seeds I'm planting might actually be working. And then so that she was 16. When she was 18, she auditioned for and was cast as Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
it was a huge moment because this is a girl that didn't sing in front of people. And so when she took her bow on center stage with that tiara on her head, it was like a full circle moment. And I'm like, she literally took off the corset that had been handed to her and replaced it with a crown.
Nice.
And that belief in herself is what then prompted her actions to do differently. She was like, I believe I am worthy. And then she started acting worthy. And then she actually then went on to perform on Broadway and now she's studying musical theater. And I just realized that belief comes before action.
Yes.
So that's what I wrote about in my book. It's called From Corset to Crown, and that whole journey of self discovery that I went on, that I teach women to go on. And as we are raising our teenage girls, we need to start thinking about those kinds of things, but also the technical aspects of how do they fuel their bodies? Like,
Yes.
if it's not calories, then what is it?
Right.
Because we're going to take off the corset and teach them that they don't have to shrink to be seen. We got to replace it with habits that's more than like eat an apple.
Right. Right.
That's super confusing, and no kid wants to just eat an apple.
Exactly. Like you're gonna make me eat foods that I don't want to eat. No.
Well, and here's what I really learned throughout this discovery. Um, we often look at food as good or bad,
Right.
healthy and unhealthy, right? And then what happens when you eat something that you've decided is bad?
Hmm. Then you feel bad about yourself, right?
You ate something unhealthy.
Mm.
And this is this cultural conditioning and this belief that we have. And then, of course, we say those kind of things. Oh, I shouldn't have the cake. Oh, I'm being bad.
Right.
Right. And it's these little things that we've now taught our girls. And
Hmm.
so the first thing I really started doing was shifting my language around the power that I gave food. And
Hmm.
so instead of looking at food as good or bad, as healthy or unhealthy, I mean, let's be honest, there is food that like is, kind of garbage in our body.
Yeah.
But because we have so much of a complicated relationship around food,
Right.
we got to just get rid of that because it's not serving us. We
Right.
just have such disordered relationships with food in our bodies. So instead of thinking
Yeah.
about it good as bad, healthy or unhealthy, I say this: food serves our body and food serves our soul, and we need both.
Right.
And we need to serve our body more than we serve our soul.
Hmm.
And if the food you're eating is not doing either, then you got to ask yourself why you're having it, why you're putting it in your body.
Right.
That shift in perspective for my teenage girls as they were growing up changed everything
Mm.
because they then got to make a decision. And it was sort of like when they were little, they wanted Christmas every day. "Ugh, I wish Christmas was every day." And
Yeah.
we adults know, like it wouldn't even be fun.
Right.
It would just be normal. It wouldn't be special. It wouldn't be appreciated. And when you think about food serves our body and food serves our soul, if you ate soul filling food every single day, it wouldn't even be fun. It
Right.
would weigh you down. You wouldn't enjoy it as much. You wouldn't appreciate it. So that balance now suddenly takes away eat good or eat your dinner before you have dessert, right? Like these rules that we put on them and say, am I serving my body more than I'm serving my soul? And then teaching what does it mean to serve our body
Right.
and then put some definition on that, because serving our body means that we're giving our body the fuel that it needs and that we're showing it love.
Hmm.
And then when we show our body love, that relationship is going to improve and our body will physically be where it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
If we're gaining weight, it's not about your worth.
Yeah.
It's not about comparison.
Yep.
It's your body telling you something. And so, can you imagine as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old starting to listen to your body and having a stronger why around health versus weight? And I think
Right.
if as women, we don't know how to delineate that. Because if I was really honest with myself, it was always about weight. It wasn't really about health. If it was about health, I wouldn't have done the unhealthy things that I did.
Right.
But it's about starting to change that narrative
Mm.
around serve food serves your body, food serves your soul. We need to serve our body more than we serve our soul. And what does it really mean to serve our body? And why do we want to do that?
Mm. That is perfect. I love how you come through that perspective lens of approaching food, like helping people. You talked about belief system. It starts with your belief system. It's true, right? I just listened to one of my mentors talk about the verse about hold each thought captive, right?
Yeah.
And think about the things of God. And that is one of them. It's like, it's not, food is not bad.
Right.
It's not bad. It's been
Right.
given to us to fuel our bodies, but it's the belief of how food impacts us, right? And I
Mhm.
love how you just put it in two simple buckets. It's how's it serving your body and how's it serving your soul. I love the analogy you made about the Christmas. Like if we celebrated Christmas every single day, it would lose its,
Shine.
excitement.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll lose its shine and effectiveness and it's no longer special, right?
Exactly.
Love that.
Exactly. And I like to look at it as dynamic. So let's say, like, my daughter actually, she went on a little road trip. She goes to school in St. Louis. She did a road trip to Nashville all by herself. She was very proud of herself.
Nice.
But she hit it ended up being a much longer trip than she had planned. And so she had brought some food with her, but she ran out. She ended up in traffic. Her car broke down. Like it was just a big nightmare. And she learned a lot, but it was a nightmare. But she ran out of food,
Yeah.
right? So then she pulls over to a fast food restaurant. And in that moment, if it was like while she was in college and it was midnight and they all went out, that was going to serve her soul.
Right.
But at that moment, that fast food restaurant was serving her body. And she was just going to make the best choice she could given what she had in front of her. And
Mm.
what a different way of looking at it, right?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
why it can be dynamic. And there's no guilt. It's
Right.
just like, this is what I'm doing. Now, the other piece that I don't think, well, I know that people do not understand, women are blown away when I talk about the root foundational need of our body. It is not calories in, calories out. It's so crazy to me because, like, okay, I have a book right here. If I actually told you this book is 200 calories, you'd be like, what? We associate calories with food. All calories is energy in an object. You burn it and you see how much energy comes out of it. So 200 calories doesn't mean anything when it
Right.
comes to food, but we've been so culturally conditioned to believe that calories really matter. What matters are nutrients,
Yes.
and our body's love language is blood sugar stabilization. So when our blood sugar is stabilized, that is when our body is fully balanced, both
Mm.
physically and even emotionally, hormonally. We're never taught this, but it's a really important concept to understand because like if you've ever been really hungry, like super, let's pretend you're hangry, right?
Hmm.
What are you going for? Like what are you going for in your pantry?
Sweets,
Mhm.
whatever is convenient.
You're not going for lean chicken. You're going
Yeah.
for chips,
Yeah.
sweets, whatever it is. And every woman thinks I just have no willpower, right?
Hmm.
But in all reality, that's your blood sugar. That's your body telling you my blood sugar is really low, and it craves carbs. And talking about like your belief systems, if you believe carbs are bad, you will always feel bad when you eat carbs. But carbs give us energy. We
Right.
need carbs. We just don't understand enough about food. And carbs will spike our blood sugar. And every time we spike our blood sugar, we will store fat. We will I mean there's so many things, we put our body at risk of every metabolic disease. Right now we see 1/3 of teenagers pre-diabetic. We've never seen that before,
Wow.
right? And processed foods that are high in sugar, high in fat, but an apple is a carb,
Yeah.
and so is bread. And we
Yeah.
just need to understand the difference. But all carbs will end up spiking our blood sugar. But again, carbs that serve our body, we really need for energy. And so Every time we spike our blood sugar, our body actually releases hormones called insulin to try to slow that blood sugar spike down. It's such an amazing system in our body.
Yes.
The more we spike our blood sugar because we've overeaten, or and when our blood sugar goes really high, it drops really fast like a roller coaster. And when our blood sugar is really low, that's when cravings start to come. That's when actually our body starts to pull from our muscles
Mm.
to be get the fuel that it needs. It wreaks havoc on our body. And when kids don't know this, especially, right? They're eating snacks, they're on a blood sugar roller coaster all day long. And then we villainize carbs at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Again, we need carbs. We just don't understand. But if we could actually eat a protein and a fat when we eat our carbs, again, it's not about rules, but it's about tools.
Yeah.
We call it PF and C. It's amazing how it can mitigate a blood sugar spike,
Mm.
keep your hormones from having to release to try to mitigate it itself, and keeps your body balanced. So we have kids with ADHD. We have kids that are just like, don't have any energy. They can't wake up in the morning. I mean, teenagers in general should start school later than they do.
Yes,
Get
I
into
agree.
but we know that weight gain, uh, painful periods, all the hormonal imbalances, attention deficit, anxiety, and depression, all of it can be attributed to a dysregulated blood sugar. And
Mm.
so I always say, would you let your kids do what you're doing
Mm.
when it comes to your food philosophy? And most of the time it's no. But in all reality, it should be yes, because all of our bodies rely on blood sugar stabilization.
Right.
And so we always talk about like if you can keep your PF and Cs together as much as possible, you're going to get the energy from carbs. That's good. You're going to get the all the amino acids and the muscle building components of protein, and you're going to fuel your brain and cushion all your organs, digest your carbs and your protein in a better way with your
Mm.
fat. They were
Yes.
actually all meant to be eaten together. And so when you can start to teach kids that when you serve your body, that means you're trying to keep your PF and Cs together and you're trying to eat food that you might find growing in a garden or outside with not as many labels and packaging. And
Right.
just do those things really helps kids to make better decisions. And I remember one day my younger one was leaving for school and she made a protein shake for herself. She had made brownies the night before. And so she was leaving the house with a protein shake and a brownie. And I was like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Protein, fat, and carb. See ya." And she went out the door. And I'm like, I can't argue with that. Maybe
Right.
that's serve your body completely, but you know what? There's variance in there. And I thought that was brilliant.
Right.
Right. And so, like, and I've made mistakes. My 20-year-old, I remember when she was younger, she was like, I feel like I always have to have protein with every meal and you stress me out. And I'm like, listen, I am not meant to stress you out.
Yeah.
I want you to be thinking about serving your body. And when you have more protein with your fat and your carbs, it's going to make you feel better.
Yes.
And that was the conversation. But like Grace, I said, there are no rules. There are just tools
Yeah.
that you can use to be able to build your own body the way that you want to.
Right. I love how you give them permission to just discover that for themselves. Give them the guardrails of, PFC,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But also give them, those boundaries, like, and room to choose for themselves and what works for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have a children's book coming out about this, and it's called PFC Pals, and we teach kids about what's protein, what's fats, what's carbs. A lot of adults don't even know. Like
Right.
if I say what's peanut butter, I'll hear it's protein, and I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
actually. Or, a lot of people don't realize that fruits and vegetables are carbs, right? And they're just like, carbs are bad. I'm like, carbs are not bad. So even adults, we don't know it. So PFC Pals is about teaching protein, fat, and carb and what the benefits of those are. And then if you want to be super cool and super fueled and super energized and super smart, you keep your pals together. And so if you can keep
Nice.
your pals together, then you're just going to elevate to the next level. And so that's sort of what we even say with our teens. We're like, let's keep our pals together. And again, not a rule, but a tool. And it allows them to be able to make their own choices. But when they know they can do, and it's amazing how they will choose those things. And now that my kids are on their own, it's just so cool to watch them actually doing the things because they care about their health and their body in a different way than when they were younger teenagers.
Right. And I feel like it's super crucial, especially at their age now, because I'm with you. I didn't pay attention to all that until I was in college, where I was starting to eat really, really bad, felt really, really bad, tried to control what I ate in unhealthy ways, just,
Well, we also don't know the tools.
and we
We
don't know the tools.
rules,
Yeah.
and we know diet rules, and we know the cultural conditioning that we have been told. So
Yes.
if we don't teach this to our kids, they're going to learn the same garbage that the rest of us have learned for our whole life.
And that is the truth. That is the truth. I love this mission that you have starting at a young age, because it really does start there, because it's so hard. It's not impossible, but it is little tougher. I mean, as grown women, to break that belief system and start new. Whereas, starting fresh, or having enough influence to teach them, against the current of how to truly value food and value what you're utilizing it for in a
Mhm.
non-pressure way is amazing.
Well, and it's like, as a behavior specialist, I'm fascinated with the brain and the way the
Mhm.
brain works. And our kids are still developing in that human development brain growth until they're 25, 26 years old. But I just got off a call with a 57-year-old woman. So her brain has been pretty well established for a long time. And she has had a lot of self sabotaging, unhealthy habits throughout her life. And now we have to undo a belief system that has been her truth. I don't
Mhm.
have enough time. I have to put everybody else in front of me. My kids need me. I can't invest in myself, right? All of these
Right.
truths. I'm, I if I don't want pictures of me because I don't like the way that I look. There's just a million beliefs that we have, and the brain doesn't like new. And we know that about behavior change. We have to actually trick the brain into believing that what we're doing isn't totally new, or it will start to subconsciously question the changes. Like, think about it. You decide you're going to start working out. So you're
Mhm.
like, start working out. Go to the gym every day, and you start going to the gym and you start feeling great. And you're like, I'm going to the gym every day. And you're there at like 5:30 in the morning. And then your brain doesn't recognize that as good. It just sees it as different. We have not done this for 50 years.
Yeah.
And it starts to question the changes you make. And if you're not aware of that, you're going to be starting to go like, oh, I'm a little tired today. I'm not going to go to the gym. Or
Mm.
gym just feels far away. I'm just going to do a workout at home. And you just start to do those little bits of self-sabotaging things, not because you don't have enough willpower and you're not strong enough, because your brain doesn't like new.
Right.
And so if we can start to get our kids into recognizing this language, this philosophy, this belief system before we have set in really stone all of these belief systems that have to be reprogrammed, we're not going to end up in the same they're not going to end up in the same situation that we often find ourselves in.
Yeah.
But we're not doing a great job of it right now because literally 1/3 of our teenagers are pre-diabetic. They will not make it to 40 years old. It just,
Mm.
they won't. And that is so scary to me
Yep.
because, like, if somebody's diagnosed with diabetes in their 40s, again, that's all around blood sugar. We can be super proactive. We can actually reverse it. They're not, they're not making it to 70. They're
Mm.
just, hey. And so if our kids are being diagnosed at 15 with being pre-diabetic, they're not going to have a life. So it's just way too important for us to ignore, but we have to teach them in a way that makes them feel empowered and not shameful.
Right. And how, okay, now we're on that topic. How, for the moms listening, because I truly believe what you presented as far as I look at, I like things simple. Take
Yes, me too.
complex, right? Take complex issues with relationship with food, all the intricacies that happens with just choosing what to put in your mouth and all the
Mhm.
outcomes. But I love how you just literally make it somebody's choice and say, hey, serve your body or serve your soul. And I love that. But
Love
as
it.
a mom who has a teenage daughter, what would you say, or what would you recommend as far as even starting that
Mhm.
change?
Yeah, and this is where I think it's around the parenting model that I actually learned when my kids were really young. At church, there was a parenting workshop, and I went, and it was really interesting because they said from 0 to 2, your job is to keep your kids safe. That's literally like it.
Yes.
From 2 to 12, you are their teacher. And so you have the opportunity to teach, and they are like a sponge that wants to learn.
Yes.
From 13 to about 17, 18, you are their model.
Mm.
They don't want to listen to you the way that they did when they were little. It's like it was a grieving time for me. I'm like, where did my kids go?
Yeah.
Gone. I don't even recognize these people. And what I learned, and I went back to that kind of remembering of what they said at that class, what I model, they will see. And so at the dinner table, I've been talking about different things that I learned around proteins and fats and carbs, purposely putting food together for a dinner, talking about blood sugar stabilization, but modeling me moving my body, modeling me eating my PFC meals every 3 hours or so, modeling me talking about what I'm learning. They may be getting it, they may not, but they are watching.
Mm.
They may not be responding. And so depending on what age they're in, we got to be thoughtful. If you've got, your girls that are under 13, they will take lessons and actually learn.
Yeah.
After that, it's kind of got to be this like naturally integrated conversations.
Yeah.
I used to see that even when they were in the car, that would be the time that we would often talk. But I would also listen to podcasts because there were a lot of times they didn't want to talk. So I'd listen to podcasts. I have a lot of parents that say, Carrie, I put your podcast on while I'm driving and my kids are listening to it. And then it's not coming from me, but they're just like, marinating in what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's to me, like, that's the crux of the teenage years, right? But then what I learned was after that, from 18 to 21, you're their coach. And I am seeing that right now, unbelievably, with my girls. They'll call me to coach them.
Mm.
And they respect me a little bit more, I think, now. And then from 21 onwards, you're their mentor. So there's a role for us to kind of teach. But if we go at it with that mindset and that perspective, I think we adjust what we do a little bit.
Yes. Yes. And each girl responds differently,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
And I think moving along and being able to shift your role, even between kids, is super important. I love that you give them the advice of really modeling everything for them. It's like a unwarranted lesson, but you're giving them a lesson.
Absolutely. And it was cool because recently I did a 4-part series on raising girls and on my podcast. And I had my daughter Grace, my 20-year-old, on the podcast. And it was like there's been so many conversations over the years. But like when she bought herself that tiara, that was like a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm not completely screwing her up. And at 20, when she did this podcast with me, she had been through her second college. She had transferred and then went to a new school. And it was like, it was the first time. I mean, we sat for 30 minutes and had a very intentional discussion that
Mm.
we knew other people were going to watch.
Right.
And it just was like a moment of like, okay, like the things that I've been doing have been marinating. And so I think that was a good example of how you might not, it's like, when you're driving with the GPS and you look up, you're like, I'm the right path. I'm the right path. During that time of raising teenagers, you never really know if you're on the right path. Every once in a while, you might get past a mile marker that says, hey, I haven't screwed them up.
Yeah.
Totally. But if
Yes.
you know who you are and you're embodying the things you want them to embody, then you'll start to see the GPS turn back on at about 20.
Right. You'll even hear them use your own verbiage, which is
Yes,
amazing. I'm like, oh, you have been listening this whole time.
they're definitely listening. And that's
Yeah.
why understanding that whole, you know, you're a model for them. This is why I work so closely with women, because if you don't have this figured out, you cannot transfer what you don't have.
Right.
You cannot teach what you don't know and believe.
Right.
So it has to start with us in order for them to be able to get it.
So good. So good. And I think
Yeah.
the takeaway here is really the PFC pals. As long as we understand having those together, it's so simple. It's such a
Pals
good
together.
visual.
And if you don't, no guilt, no big deal.
Right.
And as we get older, we know that like about every 3 hours, if we're for adults, for women that always ask me this, we call it PFC 3. So about every 3 hours, we should be always ready to eat, satisfied, ready to eat, satisfied. That's how we know our blood sugar is pretty stable. And I always say it's no big deal. You didn't get that, you weren't totally on point for that meal. You just make it the next one. Like, if you go through a red light, you don't just keep going through red lights because you went through that one and didn't get caught, right?
Yeah.
stop at the next red light. And that changes, I mean, all the cultural conditioning that we've had around guilt and food and letting it sit with us. It's like, no, I just ran through a red light, no big deal. I'm going to go stop at the next one. Again, if we don't believe that, we'll never teach that to our daughters. But it's a really powerful tool in our toolbox to be able to deal with food guilt. And then if we outwardly, we call it, and when I was an educator, we'd call it think aloud, actually thinking out loud, even if you don't think they're listening. Like I would be eating my dinner and I'm just talking to myself because they're not talking to me, but I would just talk to myself.
Yeah.
And I realized they were listening.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Think
other
out
thing that I
loud.
did
That's a
is
great one.
I had a lot of conversations, especially because I was a nutritionist and working with women, but I have it while they were in the room. So, I actually will talk to clients who say that they're talking to their sister or their friends about what they're learning.
Yeah.
And their kids are in the room or they're in the car and they're driving and they're on speakerphone. Those are really great ways to get the message across without them thinking they're being told something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. I love all the tips and ways to communicate with our daughters indirectly and
Yeah.
not so I guess the word attacking because I know
Right?
right.
And they'll actually then go do the opposite
Yes.
of what you'll do. I have this really fun example of a woman that works for me. Her daughter wanted to run the Boston Marathon, okay? And she's 19 and she didn't have the money. You need like I think it's like $10,000 that you have to raise.
Mm.
But you actually have to put the money on your credit card and then if you don't raise enough, they charge your credit card the $10,000.
Oh wow.
It's crazy, right? So my friend is telling me this, and she's insistent on. I'm like, does she have a credit card? She said, no, it would have to be on mine. I'm like, well, you just say no, like that's
Yeah.
easy, right? Like you're just be like, no, I'm not going to put it on my credit card.
Yeah.
Instead, she went into this whole thing about why she can't do this, why she shouldn't do this, and now she's mad at her because she won't let her do the Boston Marathon. And I'm like, if you had just said, oh yeah, you can do that, you just have to give yourself a credit card. She
Yes. Figure it out.
and then it was going to be her own choice. Now
Yeah.
she's mad at you because
Yeah.
you told her she couldn't. But if it's just like, yeah, go ahead, make your own choice and have that natural consequence, she never was going to be able to do the Boston Marathon thing in that way and put herself at risk because she doesn't have the card. So I just think it's like we can be super direct and try to control them, but then it's only going to backfire on our relationship with them. So you give them the tools and then kind of give them the coaching and show them the love and the grace, and they will come through it. And I'm just sort of proof of that now that I'm sort of on the other side of the teenager thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it really does work if you can just stay in your lane.
Yes. Stay in your lane, endure, and it'll be all right.
But really, truly, like that, I always joke that like there is nothing we agree on in this world. Literally nothing, right? But the one thing we all agree on, and it could be in any country, in anywhere in the world, no matter what, is on an airplane, they say put your own oxygen mask on before helping somebody else with theirs. And I know that feels very cliche, but it's like, moms, if you don't figure this out for yourself, you'll never help them.
Right.
So taking care of yourself and going on this journey is the most unselfish thing you can do to be able to then help your teenagers. I think we want these tips that we can do to them. And instead, it's really what we got to do for us
Yes.
so that then they can really thrive.
I love it. And it comes from an authentic and genuine place. Teenagers are so good at sniffing out inauthenticity when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
being disingenuous. And it's kind of like, well, are you doing it? I mean, they'll ask you straight out. I don't see you doing that.
No. And then the conversation will often come like your kids will talk about weight. I don't care if they're not like I'll have women that say, "Oh, my daughter doesn't have a weight problem." I'm like, "She definitely has a body image problem. She
Mm.
definitely has a weight thought problem." Like it doesn't matter. Like every single female looks at their body and judges it.
Yeah.
And so you do it, like we all do it,
Yeah.
right? So we have to like my daughter said actually on the podcast, if your daughter is talking to you about weight, don't just blow it off, or about how
Mm.
she looks, don't just blow it off. She's actually coming to you and looking for answers.
Yep.
But again, if you don't have that figured out for yourself, you're gonna, oh, you're beautiful. Don't say that about yourself. Don't
Yep.
believe that about yourself.
Yep.
And then right there, you ruin your credibility because they know mom is always on a diet. They know mom is tracking her calories. They
Yep.
know mom is weighing herself. They know mom has a relationship with food that is problematic. They know.
Yep.
I'd rather you tell them about your issues
Yep.
and unpack it together.
Yep. I love that. I was just going to say that. I mean, I think the more genuine and more vulnerable would be to address some of the things that you're dealing with yourself. And it makes her feel less lonely as well, knowing that like, why do I even have these thoughts? It's like you're not the only one with these thoughts. I have these thoughts, and what can we do to help each other? I love that.
That's the thing that my daughter said on our podcast too. She goes, I just realized you're just a girl.
Mhm.
You're a girl like I was a girl. I'm a girl,
Mhm.
and you can help me to see things because you've been there. And I used to say to them all the time, ask up, ask up. Don't ask your friends. They're at the same level of like
They're going through it too.
have no idea. They think they know,
Yeah.
but they don't know.
Yeah.
But you ask a female that's a few years over, I'm like, whether it's your cousin, whether it's your aunt, whether it's me, I don't care. Ask up. And
Yep.
that was always our phrase, ask up, ask up, ask up. And that stuck with them too. So little things like that, I think, matter.
Matter a lot, especially. Gosh, thank you, Carrie, so much. You gave us so much value. It was not just about food, it was just how,
Because it never is.
because it never is. It's just I think it's a byproduct behavior of what is really going on, as you were saying, right?
It really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Where can moms find you?
Yeah, so on carrielupoli.com is sort of my website where you can go everywhere from there. You can get on my list so I can tell you when the book is coming out. My podcast is there. I also go live on Instagram every morning for morning time as a chance to reset and realign and reflect because I know that morning time is actually the most important time for us to honestly just get our lives together. And
Mm,
if we can do morning time every day, even just for a few minutes, we're never going to fall that far off of where we say we want to go. So Instagram is Carrie_Lupoli. So it's all over
nice.
places.
Yay, that's Carrie with a C, Lupoli, Lupoli. And I
Yep.
hope you go visit her. Thank you so much, Carrie, and congratulations on your book.
Thank you. Very excited. Very excited. But thank you for having me on. I always love talking to you, and your whole message is exactly what I want everybody here.
Oh, thank you. And yours too as well. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hey, friend, if this podcast inspired you or encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd love for you to share it. You can screenshot this episode and share it in your stories on social media or text it to a friend who can use the support. It's the best way you can thank me. I want to let other mamas know they are not alone. I'd love to stay connected with you. You can find me at raisingherconfidently.com. Until next time, live full of grace, Jeannie.